I think if more photographers focused on their photography business being a business, I really don't think it's a creative aspect of it that is holding people back.
From tech layoffs to capturing smiles, he traded code for a camera and never looked back. Born in India, raised across the US, and now a Chicago-based photographer on a mission to make the world smile. Say hello to Ragu like the sauce.
I used to do weddings prior to doing sports.
Right.
And there's a lot of pressure to catch the moment. And I wanted to train myself, I wanted to get better, and I wanted to be able to react faster. So I figured that if I practice sports, then that would be the perfect training ground for me for weddings.
Those weddings are something else. One of my best friends is from India, and he's like, we have got to go. I'm like, I would love to, but I have to like take a month off to be able to go there because they're like, oh yeah, we have the pre-party and the is party and that party. And I'm like, it sounds like a lot.
You know why, right?
No, I don't know why. Help me. Educate me.
That is what...
I only know your first name, Ragu. Thank you for coming to the Outspoken Artist here at Imaging 2025. I'm here with Gikoto as well. They're kind enough to let me use a lot of their gear, so I don't have to pack heavy, man. So tell me about you, man. Where are you coming from?
My name is Ragu, and I'm coming from Chicago, Illinois. Thank you for having me here too, by the way.
Absolutely, man. What kind of photographs are you mostly taking? What is your niche? What is your liking? What do you like to do?
Live action sports.
Oh, okay, there we go. So why sports? What drew you to that?
So I used to do weddings prior to doing sports.
Right.
And there's a lot of pressure to catch the moment. And I wanted to train myself, I wanted to get better, and I wanted to be able to react faster. So I figured that if I practice sports, then that would be the perfect training ground for me for weddings.
That makes sense.
Well, fast forward a few months later, I got really excited by capturing the raw action, the athleticism, the unpredictableness, and I just got booked over and over and over and over again. And the reactions that I got from people when they saw the photos that I was capturing, that was very fulfilling.
That's great. Isn't that a great feeling? Like, no matter what you do, whether it's sports, weddings, headshots, when people see the photos and they love what you do, it's like this little dopamine high.
Yeah.
Kind of like, I guess, what the like button used to do before. So
The light bulb just clicks.
It does, right? Have you always taken photos, or is this something here that you started doing?
A year and a half ago, I started.
What led to that? I'm curious.
I used to work in tech for the last 10 years.
Okay.
I'm an immigrant. I moved from India with my family when I was 7, and I cared about being an engineer. I cared about working in tech. I cared about, making an impact, making a difference in the world. And that's what I went to school for engineering, electrical engineering.
Nice.
And then I did consulting in tech for 5 years. And then I worked at Uber. I worked at small startups, and I had a blast doing what I was doing. And then my mom got me a camera, and I used that camera to take a photo of someone at a farmer's market, and I gave it to them immediately. I was like, hey, those photographers that take photos and they never give those to you? I want to do something different. I just want to take photos for fun.
Nice.
And transfer that image directly over to your phone. And then I wanted to just see what that did to people. They said they were going to print that. They're going to have that in their home. They said, this is the best photo that we've ever gotten. They're like, trust me, we've gotten photos before with other people. And I made them so happy that they took out their wallet and they gave me a $20 bill.
Even without the $20 bill, you know what I mean? It's like the fact that someone's going to be printing this is going to be a keepsake for that family. Isn't that crazy? Impact.
I didn't even ask for money.
Right.
And they gave me that, and I sat there and I felt it, and it weighed more than everything I made the last 10 years. I was like, I earned this.
Yeah, there's a lot of money in consulting, but that obviously has a lot more value because you did it through art, man.
I earned it, and I wanted to do something out of it. I was like, you know what? Sustainability, the mission, all of that stuff that I was doing in tech was important. It's very important. But what's tangible for me is seeing a smile on the person's face across from me and making an impact locally, making an impact in that person, in their life, in their family. And then when you hear that, when you do prints, they get to see that image 365 days a year. They walk past that. I had families that I photographed, a couple that I photographed their wedding for. I was in Miami, and they messaged me and they're like, dude, what are you doing out here on our side of the country? You're in Seattle. I'm like, oh, you guys moved to Miami. And they're like, you are not leaving without coming over to our home. I had coworkers there, coworkers that I used to work with, and I wasn't able to get a hold of them. But this couple that I photographed said I was not allowed to leave until I saw them. And what we ended up working out was we both had busy schedules, but they said, we have church in the morning. Can you come to church with us? And I was like,
That's personal. Yeah.
I'll be there. So that's what we did. We went to church together. We got lunch together afterwards, and it felt very, very personal.
That's awesome, man. That's a great story. You mentioned consulting. Funny enough, I do consulting as well, man. So I know all too well of the IT world, Scrum meetings, you name it, man. The whole thing. I know exactly what you're talking about.
Certifications, all of that.
I know what it's done for me. I'm curious, how has corporate helped you in your photography? Because it teaches you stuff that people don't think that it does. But what do you think the corporate side, the consulting side, the IT side has helped you in what you're doing now in photography?
Industry best practices. If there's one thing I learned, it's that there are best practices. And instead of reinventing the wheel, right? It's really, really, really important to understand what's been tested, what's been tried, and get an idea of that. I think the first 3 years that I work in consulting, um, I didn't think that way. And then I started to look at the best practices. I started to look at what is the IT service management, what are the best practices with service management, and there are whole certifications on that process. I ended up, once I realized this existed, I ended up getting 52 certifications.
Yeah, you got all the belts probably too.
I got the belts. I got the Six Sigma stuff. I did all of that stuff. But interestingly enough, process improvement is process improvement.
Right.
And it teaches you to continue innovating and to look for waste and to eliminate those wastes and try to figure out how you could be better. I think if more photographers focused on their photography business being a business, I really don't think it's a creative aspect of it that is holding people back. I'll never forget the first conference that I went to, the first class that I went to. I spent a lot of money, right? Like I spent a lot of money to be there, the hotels, the flights, the everything, the investment that I was putting into it. And an instructor, the very first instructor that I was sitting there, we were in a class with like hundreds of other people. She showed a photo and she said, so this is a photo that I captured at a family portrait session. And I don't know how other people felt, but when I looked at it, I said, that looks like an iPhone photo. What the hell am I doing here? And then she opened the gallery and she said, these are all the photos that I took for them. And I'm looking at all of those and I'm like, I made a mistake. Why am I here right now? And then she said, the family spent $23,000 with me.
Wow.
23,000. And this is, I'm getting I'm taking photos. I'm putting a lot of time into my craft and my art. And I was making like $350, $500 per family. And to hit a number that big, then I sat down in my chair and I had to listen. I had to pay attention. And then I realized, okay, we'll start working on the business. So bringing in all the stuff from tech, thinking from an agile perspective, thinking week on week, what went well, what didn't go well, what can we do better?
What do you think is working really well for you right now?
The fact that I know how to update my website and I'm self-reliant, that makes a huge difference. Every time I get an idea, there is no red tape that I had in corporate. There is no approvals that I need. If I want to test something, I can go test it immediately.
That's true.
With sports, in the last 3 months, I photographed 88 kids, 88 athletes, I should say, playing. And all of these image reveals that I still have a few more for the next month and a half to get through those 88. And with each one, I am trying something different. I'm changing something in my sales strategy. I'm changing the pricing here, changing the pricing there, what my offerings are, what works, what doesn't work, what are they looking for? And I get to continue optimizing this stuff.
Yeah.
So that's what's working. What's working is my ability to adapt and keep changing this and keep testing this stuff. So
Dan, no, you got to keep testing. You got to keep pivoting too. When something works, go with that. If it doesn't work, go this way. And
even if it works, is there something that works even better?
Now, I asked you what you think is working. What do you think it could be working better?
It's the exact same answer. The sales portion of it, I think I'm still leaving so much on the table. And I think the way that I can solve that problem is by having a community. I haven't been able to meet many sports action photographers. So Aftershoot recently released an industry study that showed that sports photographers make up, I think it was like 5.8% or some really low number.
Right.
And after coming to imaging, specifically for sports, uh, a lot of the speakers, actually all the speakers that I've like looked at, the curriculums, what they're going to be teaching, it's titled sports, but it's athletes getting portraits taken.
Yeah. Sportraits.
Portraits.
Yeah.
So what I would love is tapping into live action, that live action part of the community to learn the industry best practices specific to this. And that's really not working for me right now. I'm struggling to understand what the industry is and what the different career paths are and what works, what doesn't work. So that I can continue to like improve. Like I said, I don't want to build my business pretending like no one's done this ever before.
Right.
There are the sports photographers out there, and I need to connect with them. So Andrew Hancock, Nikon ambassador, is here.
Okay.
So I went and talked to him. He said we're gonna get some lunch Tuesday. So excited to go.
That's a great thing. Yeah, definitely take advantage. That's the whole thing with these things, right? You network with people, you talk to people, and that's how you make connections. I saw them photographing a guy with a skateboard not long ago, and they were doing the action type of, it's not on location, it's not at the field or anything like that. It's like a borderline portrait in a way. But yeah, that was pretty cool. Seeing how they captured and froze a moment in time, which is fascinating. I know we're at PPA, but, well, imaging from PPA. You may want to check out the ASMP. Okay, it's the American Society of Media Photographers. There's a lot of sports and journalists that go to that particular side of the world. I'll give you that information if you want. But the ASMP might be a good resource as well, because I think less than portraits is more journalism and events and concerts and things like that. So I think that might actually be a good place to check out, because they have a whole network, a whole different set of communities from the West Coast, the middle, to everywhere. They meet up, and maybe there you'll actually find a different type of collective group of people that are more within your niche, because you're right. There's absolutely a lot of great portrait photographers here. Jeff Carpenter being one of them. Phenomenal work to what he does, but not what you're doing. Not the way you're doing. I'm intrigued. I'm going to ask you one question, because you mentioned you came from India when you were 7, you said?
Yeah.
What is a cherished memory that you haven't thought about when you were in India that, if you think about it now, it brings you really good memories, man?
Our doors being unlocked. Well, our doors being open. I didn't know who I was related to, because you call everyone aunt and uncle. Like the name that you have for people is aunt and uncle. I translate to aunt and uncle. So I thought everyone was my family. And I was running into people's homes so that I could get treats and snaps and food. I could walk anywhere, go into anyone's homes, and it was very communal. It was very like family. It was very nice. And that's something that I like crave a lot every day, to like feel that sense of belonging, that sense of community. We all share the same zip code. We're all in the same neighborhood. And I like it when people like trust, each other. And that's a very cherished memory of India. When I go back there, it's been over 7 years since I've been back, but they see me and they instantly kind of can tell my lineage. And they're like, oh, you're the son of that kid that used to live over there.
How great is that?
Come here, let me give you this food. And it's very freeing.
When was the last time you went to India?
7 years ago. There was a wedding that happened.
Oh my God, those weddings. Those weddings are something else. One of my best friends is from India, and he's like, we have got to go. I'm like, I would love to, but I have to like take a month off to like, woo, ouch. Take a whole month to be able to go there, because they're like, oh yeah, we have the pre-party and the it's party and that party. And I'm like, it sounds like a lot.
You know why, right?
No, I don't know why. Help me. Educate me.
That is what brings the whole community together, right? So that is a celebration. So here there's like a wedding guest list, right? Of like
Right.
how many people come. And my mom actually brought this up recently. She was like, this person invited us to a wedding and they said that you could bring a +1, but that's it. And she's like, that's so like, I don't want to go to the wedding. That feels so weird.
Yeah.
And I thought about it. I was like, oh yeah. The phrase that you use in India when you invite someone is bring yourself and the whole village with you, because at that wedding, every single person that attended is there to support you through hardship. So that entire village is there to take care of you, and they're committing to taking care of you by attending that wedding. Yes, you have to feed all of them. Yes, you have to do all of that. But in what you get for that is that they will always be there for you. The rest, not just for you, but your kids and their kids and their kids. So everyone's going to be at that, and you're creating a very festive moment for everyone to get together. Plus, then people meet each other. They start relationships through that too. There's a lot of like arrangements or people meeting and falling in love that happen at those weddings themselves. So it creates a very icebreaker type moments and activities for community to get closer together.
What a pleasant culture. What a pleasant way of life. Unfortunately, in the US, we have a very singular type of mentality, and it can make someone feel like not part of the village, right? You say, when you mentioned my door was open, at first I'm like, why would that be? And like, then it makes sense. It's because of the fact that everybody's one big family. We're here, we lock our door, smart locks, alarms, and whatnot. Very, very secluded. So it's very nice. It's very nice. Question, where can people find your work?
My work is on my website, ragulikethesauce.com. Literally ragu, like the sauce.
Oh, like the sauce?
Yeah, spell the whole thing out.com. Yeah.
That's
or
great.
on Instagram, Ragu Like the Sauce. That's or on LinkedIn.com/IN/Ragu.
That is great. That is a great, great brand, man. I like that.
Yeah.
Well, Ragu, man, thank you for joining my first interview.
Thank you for having
How
me.
was it?
It was great. It was simple, and you listen. So thank you.
I appreciate it, bro. Thank you.